If you're not careful, and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the backrooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum humbuzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you heard something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell heard you.
In late May of 2019, this photo was posted on 4chan's paranormal board, asking users to share images they find unsettling. In response to this photo, an anonymous 4chan user wrote this short paragraph-long creepypasta to go along with the image. What no one expected is that this short passage, along with this photo, would explode into a phenomenon that would sweep across the entire internet. But let's take a few steps back. Before the YouTube fads, before the countless stories, before the movie deal, there was just an image. What is so fascinating about this decrepit room that it was able to capture the interest of millions? To some of you, this image feels like a random picture of some old room, but to others, this room feels oddly familiar. If you breathe in, you can almost smell the stench of musty, damp carpet lingering in the air, and if you close your eyes, you might be able to just make out the faint droning hum of the fluorescent lights above you. Many of us can remember standing in places just like this in our youth. Something about this place feels oddly nostalgic, but at the same time, something feels wrong. That feeling of strange, eerie familiarity drew people in, and suddenly, a whole genre of photography called liminal spaces would sprout up. People would grow a fascination with where these strange empty places originated, and over time, many of these liminal spaces would be discovered all around the world. These places feel inhuman, unknowable, but finding them in real life kind of demystifies them in a sense, gives them some closure. However, since the liminal space craze blew up in 2019, one photo remained so obscure that it remained elusive for half a decade. It felt almost impossible to find, like it'd never be discovered at all. And it just so happened to be the photo to start it all. Where are the backrooms? Whoa. You weren't planning on finishing this video without a ice-cold beverage and a warm meal, were you? Thankfully, I'm here. Hi, I'm Master Chef The What, and I'm here on behalf of GamerSupps to tell you about an amazing meal I've whipped up. I call it the Backrooms Combo Meal. The combo meal consists of a delicious, refreshing beverage in the form of copium, a warm bowl of Gamer Soup's Swamp Assassin flavor. I even added green onions and corn on top. Those little touches are what separate a master chef like me from the plebeians like you. And finish off that combo with a sus bar. Quite the delightful little treat to keep you on the go. Visit the link in the description and use code THEWHAT for 10% off. And since it's October, if you don't use my code, I'll put a curse upon your bloodline for generations. And believe me, you don't want to deal with that. Thanks to GamerSupps for supporting the channel. Now, let's go searching for the backrooms. Although plenty of liminal space photos have been found in the past, many of them weren't too difficult to locate. Many liminal space photos are of public spaces, derelict malls and businesses, or art that can just be traced back to the creator. The backrooms is just a single room. How can you find the exact place this photo was taken when there's thousands of places across the globe that looked just like it? Well, finding the backrooms isn't quite as hopeless as it first seems. There are small clues in the photo that can point us in the right direction. The biggest clue just so happens to be near the bottom of the photo, right here. The outlet, specifically a Type B outlet. You can tell because of the two vertical prongs and the grounding pin. While many different variations of outlets exist, the Type B outlet is used primarily across North America. While countries like Japan, the Philippines, Liberia, and much of the Caribbean also use the Type B outlet, the general look and feel of the backrooms means you can safely assure this picture is either from the USA or Canada. The next step in finding the photo is figuring out just what the room even is. There's no doubt that the room's strange appearance is what made it captivating in the first place, but the closer you look, the stranger it seems. The most striking detail that immediately jumps out at you is just how piss yellow the room is. The saturated yellow color is probably due to a mixture of the wallpaper, the fluorescent lights, and the camera used to take the picture. Taking the picture into a photo editor and turning down the yellows gives us a better look at what the room looks like without the Breaking Bad Mexico filter. With a clear view, you can see for yourself just how odd the geometry of this room is. In the back of the photo, you can see a wall that doesn't quite extend all the way towards the ceiling. On the left, you can see what appears to be a raised platform, and on the right side of the room, you can just barely make out two more walls jutting out. It's a very strange layout for a room, and perhaps something even stranger is that you can notice 4 to 5 different types of wallpaper adorning the different walls of the backrooms. Was the interior designer of this room just really indecisive, or does the wallpaper serve some sort of purpose? What could a room that looks like this even be used for? People would begin to theorize the purpose of the room. A compelling theory is that the room is an old office space. On the walls you can just barely make out chair guards. Perhaps these weird segmented areas on the right serve as spaces for cubicles. But if this was an office space, then what's the deal with the different wallpapers and the strange platform? The layout of the room is unorthodox for a standard office space. A theory that makes up for the shortcomings of the office theory was that the backrooms were a furniture store, with the different partitions and wallpapers being for different furniture showcases, and the chair guards were to prevent the furniture from damaging the walls. Perhaps the specific type of store the backrooms is an old Sears building. After Sears went bankrupt, nearly all of their locations closed down. Looking at photos of closed down Sears locations, it can certainly elicit similar feelings to the backrooms photo. Not to mention that the photo was discovered in 2019, during a time that Sears was going bankrupt and closing locations left and right. So was it possible that the backrooms photo was taken in an emptied out Sears location that had been closed down? People investigated and looked at Sears across America, but people couldn't find a connection between the backrooms photo and Sears. There wasn't a location in any Sears store that looked quite like this. Outside of basic theorizing about the purpose of the room, the wide search was kickstarted in May of 2020 when YouTuber David Crypt uploaded one of the first videos discussing the search for the backrooms a year after the image was posted on 4chan. The virality of the video would draw a lot of people towards the case, and it wouldn't be long for David to receive a lead. A user by the name of Crazy Bar King would reach out to David on Instagram. Crazy Bar King stated that they themselves had taken the backrooms photo in the offices of a gaming studio named Surtech. Surtech went defunct in 2003. If what this user is saying is true, it places the photo around 2003 when the studio went out of business. Not only did this anonymous user provide the context of the photo, but they gave an exact location: Ogdensburg, New York. Before, people could only theorize as to the exact location of the backrooms. But for the first time, people had an actual address to work off of. There was only one thing to do: go there in person and see if it's true.
Yeah, it's closed. But that's what the interior looks like. I mean, getting a little bit of that vibe from this building. Whoa. Now this, that's kind of interesting. That could be something, a room in the hood.
Sorry, it wasn't very interesting. Figured I'd spice it up. Turns out Ogdensburg was a complete bust, a hoax, a fabrication, a big, stinky lie. However, even if the Ogdensburg lead was shut down, it felt like 5 more had opened up. On January 1st of 2011, an article would be uploaded to scoutingnewyork.com. The article follows the writer as they tour the nearly abandoned James A. Farley Post Office in New York City, specifically in Manhattan. Inside the vacant areas of the building were areas that could very well look like liminal spaces on their own. However, this one caught the attention of the searchers. It's hard to see, but in the center of the image you can make out a doorway into a room that looks very familiar. The shape of the doorway and the second wall protruding towards the center of the room looks as though it lines up with the original backrooms photo, and the backrooms being the old offices of a vacant post office seems right. However, there are discrepancies in the layout. The geometry of the walls doesn't quite add up, and as a final nail in the coffin, this theory would ultimately be disproven by the photographer themselves. Another lead would appear when a Redditor with the username blackandwhiteviewer posted on the r/backrooms subreddit, claiming to be the person to have taken the photo. The man alleges that his name is Mark, and he is from the UK, and he took the photo in 2001 with a Sony camera for commercial use as part of a real estate job. Since then, he gave the camera to his son with the SD card still inside, making it difficult to retrieve. If you've been paying attention thus far, you may have sussed out something fishy with Mark's story. He claims to be from the UK. However, the UK doesn't use Type B outlets like the ones shown in the image. When confronted on this, Mark would claim he was actually in the US on a business trip and claimed the photo was taken in Boston, Massachusetts. Source? Trust me, bro. That seems like a massive detail to leave out of your post, and it wouldn't take long before people's suspicion mounted and Mark would jump ship and delete all of his posts. Never trust a Redditor, and especially never trust a British person. One lead that seemed to hold actual merit came from an unexpected place: Brazil. On July 19th of 2022, Brazilian YouTuber Pedro Coltis would upload a video that entailed his own search into the backrooms photo. This video contained a potentially massive lead in the search. Pedro alleges that he got in contact with a man from the USA who claimed to have an earlier instance of the backrooms photo. According to the man, they weren't the person to take the photo, but rather, he found it while browsing an image sharing site around 2014. Finding the image interesting, the man would download the photo to his hard drive where it lay dormant until it blew up as a phenomenon. However, the man couldn't remember where he had seen the photo. So, if this person has no personal attachment to the photo, no sources, and we're no closer to finding out where it came from, why is this man's testimony so interesting? Because this instance of the photo contains EXIF data. Standing for Exchangeable Image File Format, EXIF data is information embedded into an image file that tells you how and when the image was taken. To demonstrate just how useful this information can be, I'd like to tell you a quick story about Burger King foot lettuce. Look, I promise this is relevant. When this photo was uploaded to 4chan, it took the people in the thread only 20 minutes to track where exactly the photo was taken and notify the manager of the establishment. How? EXIF data. Using the data embedded in the photo, they were able to determine when the photo was taken, what device took the photo, and roughly where it was taken. It goes without saying that the EXIF data from the backrooms photo could be a massive help to the searchers. So what did the data tell us? According to the data, the photo was taken on June 12th of 2002 using a Sony CyberShot camera. The searchers could pin a definite date as to when the backrooms photo was taken. However, some things didn't seem to be lining up. For one, the file name for this supposed earlier instance of the backrooms photo had a file name consistent with that of the iPhone. However, the first iPhone to release was in 2007, leaving a 5-year disparity between when the EXIF data shows the photo was posted and when it could have been acquired by the man at the very earliest. The file name was also plugged into various image sharing websites the man claimed to browse, to no avail. Another aspect of this story that seemed off was the man himself. There's no knowledge of who this man could be, and their identity is completely anonymous. And how are we to assume that a man from the USA just happened to meet up in contact with a Brazilian to exchange the photo? Source: trust me, bro. This could have very well been another British Mark scenario. And although it wasn't completely debunked, the wider search would write off Pedro's account as a hoax, and yet another in a long line of dead leads. A particularly interesting moment in the search opened up when a business called Collins Cold Storage was discovered in Georgia. A Google user had posted the backrooms photo in a review for the business. Looking closer, however, you can spot something interesting. This isn't the same angle as the original photo. This is a different photo from the same location. Perhaps a customer visited Collins Cold Storage, snapped a recreation of the photo, and posted it in their review. There was only one way to verify that this lead wasn't a dead end. Collins Cold Storage received multiple calls pertaining to the backrooms photo to the point of annoyance, with every call having the same disappointing outcome. This is not where the photo was taken. The Google review was either a prank or a hoax. Not only that, but people would visit the business in person to harass the employees and be an overall nuisance. The business would even threaten legal actions against YouTubers in an attempt to stop the unwanted attention. The search was still cold, and all the investigators really had to show for it was harassing a small business. In fact, what some of you might not have even realized is that this photo from the review isn't even real. It's a digital render of the backrooms, which leads to an uncomfortable possibility. The backrooms might not even be real at all. Those worries were put to rest when this footage was discovered that takes place in the same office space as the original photo. Except for the fact that everything I just told you is a lie, and this footage is actually a YouTube video called backrooms.avi that's a fake render created in Blender. With the earliest appearances of the backroom photo still being in 2019, it was possible that the original photo might have been a digital render that just looked very convincing. Try this on for size. One of these photos is a fake backrooms render created in Blender, and the other 3 are edited images. I'm willing to bet many of you picked up that this image was the Blender render. But did you even notice that this image is just an edited picture of a Counter-Strike map? It's not very hard to make a convincing looking fake photo of the backrooms. All this to say is, what if the backrooms was just someone's pet project in Blender that got taken out of context? What if this photo is just a heavily edited photoshopped image to the point where the original would seem unrecognizable? What if finding the backrooms was impossible because there was no backrooms to find? Okay, let's stop and consider things for a moment. At this point in the search, it was 2022, roughly 3 years since the backrooms appeared on the internet, and the searchers were no closer to finding the origin of the photo. The search so far has been unsuccessful because the focus has been on finding the location of the photo in the physical world. Unfortunately, this approach opens itself up to a lot of hoaxes and false leads. A small glance at the backroom search document reveals this. Finding the backrooms like this was always going to be a long shot because there are thousands of rooms that looked just like this spread across North America. Not to mention, this picture is likely decades old, so even if the location was found, it would be unrecognizable. Perhaps what's needed is a change of focus. Instead of trying to find the physical origin of the photo, it may be easier to find the digital origin. Let's go back to the place where it all started, 4chan. This image didn't pop out of nowhere. If it had appeared on the site once before, there was a solid chance it had been posted there previously. So now, the investigation had a new mission. Search through archives of 4chan threads and keep an eye out for any sightings of the backrooms photo. Sure enough, after scouring through countless 4chan threads, a fate I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, the backrooms were spotted in a cursed image thread on April 8th of 2018 in 4chan's B-board, where you can essentially post anything. This made it the earliest known sighting of the backrooms photo. If you look at the file name of the photo attached to the thread, what you get is a sequence of numbers. And although, at first glance, this seems to be a random jumble of numbers, it's actually a code. A Unix timestamp, to be correct. A Unix timestamp is a sequence of numbers used to translate dates and times into a simple number sequence. And by translating the timestamp attached to the photo, you get the date of July 15th, 2012, 7 years before the X thread upload. This Unix timestamp is undeniable proof that the backrooms photo had been circulating on the internet for years before blowing up in 2019. But now, the difficult part was trying to find instances of the backroom photo on the internet from over half a decade ago. Trying to scour through years worth of archives of the internet was a long, time-consuming process, and years would pass without any major discoveries. The search was one step closer to the answer, but the goal still felt as though it was miles away. That was until May 12th of 2024, when YouTuber Pharrell Maguire made some interesting discoveries by running the backrooms photo through error level analysis, ELA for short. Essentially, ELA allows us to detect areas of images that are at different levels of compression. The more compressed a photo is, the more different it will appear when run through ELA. Doing something as simple as compressing a PNG into a JPEG will sharpen high contrast areas of an image, making it look darker. This means ELA is particularly good at detecting photoshopped images, because by combining images at different levels of compression, it's going to reflect in the ELA. Take for instance this photo of a desert. Now let's say I add a photo of a dinosaur. When running the unedited photo through ELA, it appears normal, nothing of substance going on really. But let's take the dinosaur version and run it through. You can immediately tell the dinosaur was edited in clear as day. Not only that, but you can also see the fake shadow I added, as well as a little hidden chimp some of you might not have even noticed, all clear as day in the ELA. So with all of that said, let's run the backrooms photo through the ELA. It's surprisingly completely normal. There's no artifacts from a Photoshop job, and the compression looks very normal across the board. The backrooms photo was real. It just needed to be found. And there's a decent lead to work off of as well. In the backroom photo's ELA analysis, you can see that the image is still fairly bright, which means it's fairly uncompressed. This means that this image hasn't been passed around and compressed countless times by various websites on the internet. The image was still fresh, and the searchers were getting close to the source. And a website where it's easy to pass around images without compressing them is 4chan, the place where it all began. Just as David Crypt had kickstarted the search in 2020 with his video, Pharrell's video and his ELA developments would lead the charge on a revitalized search, and with fresh wind in their sails, it wouldn't take long for progress to be made. Bingo. It wouldn't take long after Pharrell's video for the search to reach new heights. A user in Virtual Carbon's Discord server discovered a thread on 4chan's TV board from March 8th of 2011. Not only was this 8 years before the 2019 X thread, but this was before even the 2012 date from the Unix timestamp. The backrooms photo had been floating around 4chan for years before being noticed by the mainstream. And this confirmation isn't the only massive discovery either. In the archived thread, you can see the file name of the image. Now, this might just seem like a random jumble of numbers and letters, but this file name actually tells us quite a bit about the origin of the backrooms photo. See, DSC stands for Digital Still Camera, an acronym that is commonly used for Sony CyberShot cameras, which means that this is from the same line of cameras that was used to take the backrooms photo. The discovery of the Sony CyberShot camera also gave the searchers a general span of time that the photo was taken in. The backrooms photo was taken sometime between the late 90s and the early 2000s using a Sony camera. It's worth mentioning that this discovery also lines up with parts of the EXIF data Pedro Coltis showed off in his investigation. At some point, a random 4chan user came across the image, found it uncanny, and posted it to 4chan. For years, it made sparse appearances through various 4chan threads before becoming a widespread mainstream meme thanks to the creepypasta. The sequence of events lines up. The investigators were so close to the source, it was within reach. It felt almost inevitable that the origin would be discovered. But where? Where are the backrooms? In a Hail Mary maneuver, a person investigating the backrooms mystery inserted the file name of the earliest known instance of the photo into a Twitter search. After so many Reddit threads, 4chan threads, Flickr albums searched, this was only a formality, something to check off the list of bases. What absolutely no one expected, however, was that this was the final piece of the puzzle. The backrooms had been found. The result of that Twitter search was this tweet from user RKFG stating to have found the origin of the photo accompanied with a dead internet link. Interestingly, this reply was posted on May 19th of 2019, a full year before David Kripp's 2020 vid that kickstarted the search. In an ironic turn, in the time between this tweet and the search, the link to the website went dead, and the tweet was so obscure it was lost to the sands of time until now. The mystery had been solved the entire time, the solution right under the nose of those searching. But in the end, it had been recovered. As the link implies, the backrooms photo was taken inside of a Hobbytown store in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, a small city of around 66,000 people on Lake Winnebago. In retrospect, it makes a shocking amount of sense for this photo to be taken in a cozy Midwest town. Even if the link to the website had gone dead, there's thankfully an archive of the page using the Wayback Machine. The contents of this page, although most of it has been lost to time, answers everything. Turns out, this photo is the result of renovating an old unused room to turn it into an RC car track. This explains why the room is so empty, as everything had to be taken out to accommodate the renovations. And although most of the photos on the website are lost, there's a second photo of the original backrooms location to be discovered. By checking the EXIF data, you can see the exact date and time the photo was taken, down to the exact minute. June 12th of 2002 at 8:21 a.m. In a surprising twist, the EXIF data attained by Pedro in 2022 was 100% correct. Despite being written off as a hoax, everything he said was the truth. If Pedro's investigation had been taken more seriously by the wider community, perhaps the source of the image could have been discovered even sooner. Still, in the end, the backrooms were found, and now Pedro gets to hold on to the biggest I told you so in lost media history. So, in the end, everyone kinda won. The discoveries didn't end just there, however. The floodgates had opened. The website confirms that before being a hobby town, the backrooms space was a furniture store, confirming the commonly held theory. With this knowledge in mind, Pharrell McGuire was able to dig up some old newspaper articles pertaining to the furniture store. We could finally put a name to the backrooms: Roner's Furniture Store. In time, every photo of the backrooms taken that day would be recovered, giving us a full look of the backrooms for the first time. Now here's where I come in. Before, I was just a narrator. I didn't have any involvement in the search and only knew of its discovery when it became public. However, Oshkosh is in Wisconsin, and as a few of you may know, I'm a Wisconsinite myself. So it only made sense to visit the backrooms myself. The inside of the store is quaint and comfortable. I myself wandered through aisles of tanks, Legos, and planes and found myself staring at a wall of Gundam models for a while. It even seems the store has become aware of its meme status, showcasing a book for a backrooms-themed D&D campaign. After asking the staff, they allowed me and my friends upstairs, and this is where the photo was taken. The door to the RC track was closed off, and inside I could hear people talking. I wanted to be respectful, so I didn't go poking and prodding my camera around in there, but I did get a very good view of the iconic doorway and the area behind the backrooms. The backrooms photo had always resonated with me because I felt like I had seen 100 places like it growing up. There was a strange familiarity to the backrooms, and as it turns out, that feeling wasn't completely unfounded. However, if the backrooms were eerie for that liminal emptiness and sense of intrigue, then that eeriness had completely dissipated. The backrooms were no longer empty, they were lived in. It was hard to hear the murmur of fluorescent lights over the chatter of model enthusiasts. The carpets were no longer damp and musty from neglect, but cleaned up and maintained for the customers. These aren't the backrooms anymore. It was Hobbytown. And what once was remains only an internet mythos. There was finally some closure for the backrooms.